you aren't being a proper woman, therefore you must be a witch. You must be a witch.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Missing Witches podcast. I'm Amy, and I want to start with a reminder that this episode is part of our 5th annual Missing Witches reparations fundraiser. We recognize that witches and New Age practitioners have too often benefited from an extractive relationship with Indigenous people, their knowledge, their cultures, and of course, the land. So every year we at Missing Witches and our coven and our extended witch community spend the month of May joyfully, happily, excitedly raising money for Indigenous support orgs, especially the Native Women's Shelter of Montreal. Risa and I pay forward our profits for the month of May to the Native Women's Shelter of Montreal. And we gather together with magical friends like Christopher and Edgar to spotlight Indigenous voices through conversations like this one. And we invite you, the listener, to join in on this reparations movement. Here is a quick rundown of how our fundraiser works. 1, make a donation of $10 or more to your local Native Women's Shelter or Indigenous support org, or donate to the Native Women's Shelter of Montreal. 2, take a screenshot of your receipt and email it to missingwitches@gmail.com with the subject line reparation. 3, be entered to win one of more than 20 fabulous prizes. The full list is on our website. Donated by luminaries of the witch community, people like Jinx Monsoon, Amanda Yates Garcia, Sarah Gottesdiener from Moon Studio, Renee Sills from Embodied Astrology, really, really glorious, glorious witches. And for every $10, you get 1 entry. So like if you donate $50, you get 5 entries, $100 is 10 entries, and so on. And 4, every donor will automatically receive coupon codes for a discount from 2 of our favorite witchy businesses, House Witch in Salem and Michelle Pajak Reynolds Jewelry. Today, I admit I am a bit of a sacred mess. So I am so happy to be joined by 2 of the most beautiful, peaceful, calming influences that I know. Christopher Marmolejo and Edgar Fabian Frias, thank you so much for helping me to calm my shattered nerves and my sacred mess today.
Thank you for showing up in your sacred mess.
Yes.
It's giving like poppy. Like I feel like you're like a field of poppies, like rising and blooming to the bright horizon. So I love it.
I appreciate that, but I might need to harvest some of those poppies for a little little opioid influence today. I'm also so happy to get the 2 of you in a room together. There is so much intersection between y'all's work, so many tendrils that I think are going to bear so much fruit. And you've both been on the podcast many times, but for new listeners, for forgetful people, let's start with Edgar. Who are you? Who are you today? What are you working on? What's going on, Edgar?
Yeah. Well, so happy to be back on this podcast and to be a part of this incredible movement and conversation. And I am Edgar Fabian Frias. My family is from Mexico. I am Vidarica. And I am currently living on Tongva land, also known as Los Angeles. And I am a multi-hyphenate, multi-dimensional mutant person, being expansive angel. I exist in many realms. I exist digitally. My avatar is all over the place. And also, I'm a psychotherapist. I have a private practice where I work mostly with folks who are highly sensitive, neurodiverse, gender expansive, queer, trans. And I also am an artist, and I create work that gets shown all over the world in many different ways. I do like installation work, performance, video art, digital work as well. And I'm also a brujekis or witch, and I have definitely cast spells in books on skyscrapers, and I even have some spells of mine that were taken up to the moon last year, which was like a really big moment in my career. And yeah, just really honored to be here and to be able to like share about our intersecting practices and also our values and what we're communing with at this moment, which is such an fraught, intense moment in our world right now.
It is. It really is. And another expansive angel bringing the light. Christopher, who are you today? How are you? What are you doing? What have you been
Oh
doing?
gosh, my gosh. I am just thrilled to be again and thrilled to be back on the pod for this project. Honored to be here, honored to be sitting and meeting with you, Edgar. I've been such a fan of your work for so long and I'm just like a little, like shooting up like myself with the work into some of these fields and it's just an honor to be invited back. I am an author, a teacher, a student. I center tarot as a sort of archive or codex for decolonization and queerness and queer theory and anti-racism and womanism. And I lecture and I'm thinking of Solange's like "Can I Hold a Mic" interlude. Like there's too many parts, too many spaces, too many manifestations, too many lines, too many curves, too many trebles, too many journeys, too many mountains, too many rivers, so many.
Both amazing introductions. Thank you. Thank you
That's
both
sad.
so much. So last week I was talking to Patty Krawick and she had like an X-Files poster behind her. If you all remember, maybe I'm showing my age, but it was a very popular show called The X-Files. Anyway, Patty's poster said the tagline from that show, which was, "I want to believe." And as I was sitting there looking at it, I thought, what a fruitful question. So let's start with Edgar. Edgar, what do you want to believe?
Mm. Wow, I'm like getting chills just hearing that question. Yeah, I want to believe that we're returning to the sacred center, that we are communing, that we are returning back to a place where we acknowledge the life and consciousness of all beings on this planet, that we are exiting the materialist paradigm, and that we are acknowledging the interrelatedness and the interspecies communion that is so possible for us to experience on this planet. And we're doing that in the midst of the decaying patriarchal, white supremacist system as it like violently, throws its body around and makes a mess of itself. And we have to witness the tantrum and be here as the death doulas that we are to witness its transition. And I know a lot of us, we are in the midst of so much pain and fear. And also, I want to believe in the rejoicing and the celebration that's to come as we allow these systems to pass and also be the doulas to bring in so much that's been wanting to come through, so much that is coming through. And I feel like so many of us as witches, as people, we've been coming together through these different platforms and spaces to support us in stepping into this re-emerging reality that will reconnect us to our indigenous sovereignty and also to our ways of being that we need so badly on this planet to come back to. And I really feel that returning. I believe in it so much, and it is what keeps me going. I feel like the web of witches that I'm a part of is what keeps me grounded and keeps me showing up every day to do the work that I do, and also gives me hope in the midst of all the noise and all the chaos that this dying system is trying to throw in front of us.
You bring so much hope to so many people just with your existence. And I want to thank you for reminding us that these systems are decaying.
Mhm.
It feels like the last surge. So we're right in the hurricane right now, but these systems are decaying. Thank you for that hopeful message, Edgar.
That's a
Christopher,
good question.
what do you want to believe, Christopher?
Hmm. I want to believe that love is coming for us all. That love is on its way. That love is on its way. That I just feel such a deep empathy and like the grief of the loneliness and the sorrow and the loss that so many souls have to navigate and endure. And and including my own journey, and that love is on the horizon. I think of, I just hear like, you gotta believe, like from Mary J. Blige, or I Still Believe, a remix by Mariah. You know what I mean? Like these notions of, as fragile as hope even is, as hard as it is, it's damn resilient, and it just has this phoenix capacity to like show up again. It's like, I'm okay, I'm still alive here. Okay, then that failed, or that was disappointed, or I didn't expect that to happen, but damn it, I'm still here, and there's still a reason to hope. There's still, again, the possibility of love. I just feel like I just have to believe that love is on its way.
You mentioned a couple songs, but you made me think of one of my favorite songs, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, a song called "Carry On." It's
Mm.
so hopeful, and there's this one harmony break, so it's like four voices, and the lyrics are "Carry on, love is coming to us all." And I think that that's an
Mhm.
amazing message for everyone, our listeners, our relations. Carry
Mm.
on, keep
Mm.
going. Love is coming, love is coming, love is coming. I'm just going to repeat that in my head every time
Mhm.
I need a boost. Um, Edgar, I'm so happy that you started a podcast. I'm so happy that you started a podcast, and it is fantastic. Listeners, if you have not yet checked out our Your Art is a Spell, please, please, well, wait till the end of this Missing Witches episode and then head over to another podcast. But I want to talk about this notion of art as a spell, and I'm going to come back to you, Edgar. But Christopher, can we ground ourselves in this topic from your book? I know obviously tarot is a visual art.
Mhm.
So there's a lot that comes up, but there's so much in your book about art, artists, the process of decolonizing as artists. So I was wondering if you would read a little section. I picked it out already, listeners, page 278. If you're reading along with your copy of Red Tarot by Christopher Marmolejo, it's
Oh,
page 278.
thank you. And I just want to say, if you would like to continue hear me reading, I do the audiobook version of Red Tarot, just saying. But yes, thank you for the invitation. I'd be honored. So this is from the Seven of Wands. The Seven of Wands is for any artist who wants uninhibited, unrestrained cultural terrain. This means the artist's work must inherently challenge the institutionalized systems of domination. These systems seek to shut down the potential for the artist's creative self-realization. For such systems are always attempting to limit, co-opt, and exploit the artist and their art. It is difficult for anyone operating in the cultural marketplace to defend against art that seeks to usurp the real. Entanglements within the capitalist corporate machine threaten the virtue, the soul of the artist. The capitalist formation of the American project is predicated upon an isolating individualism. The superficial seduction of immediate recognition and some measure of attention may be offered in a turn that still marginalizes and sets apart. None of us are free from the struggle against a profound internalized colonization that has a primary apparatus in the media, but the Seven of Wands stands against this threat to the artist and their work. The Seven of Wands necessarily champions the free-moving spirit that creates provocatively and openly. They are vigilant in their defense of difference. Artists, readers, writers must be literate enough to break the hold of colonizing representations. Their work will necessarily provoke.
Edgar, doesn't it sound like you could have written that?
Oh my gosh. I thank you for believing that I could be such a brilliant writer. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing those words. It's so powerful. And
Yeah.
I'm just like getting chills thinking about this moment we're in and the role of the artist and what we're here to really bring in to the world. And I think you really just named it so potently, so poetically, that as artists, it is such a responsibility to be able to imagine, to see, to feel into what's coming, what's possible, what we hold together. And that was one of the
Mm,
reasons I really felt called to start this podcast is I have witnessed the power of art in my own life as well as in the life of so many people and its ability to transform not only in like your interior sense of self, but also the world. Like I've seen so much magic happen and really wanting to remind people of the power that we hold within to push up against these systems and to transcend these systems and to really use our art as a catalyst, a guide, and also as a trickster, as a way to smuggle and intercept
mm,
and to create openings of possibility. And I think it was coming at a time where I also was making a big decision of leaving social media and,
mm,
leaving Instagram and trying to reorganize my own life to stay connected and to build connections with people. And I've been really
mm,
inspired by the connections that I've been making through my podcast and through my newsletter and seeing that we don't need these mega corporations to
mm,
stay connected and that there are other ways and that there is like a time of like reskilling where we're all going to
mm,
need to return back to other ways of engaging with one another
mm,
because we've all been so easily drawn into these spaces that are in many ways becoming so unsafe for our communities. And I think what's so unfortunate is that we've all really learned, myself included, to rely on these spaces to stay connected. And
mm,
it is a big shift that is happening. And I feel like I want to just really name Amelia Ruby from the Off the Grid podcast. I was just on her podcast this last week, and she's someone who's really championing artists and visionaries to leave social media and to create our own networks.
mm,
And I do believe that this is going to become more and more of something that we're going to be called to do. And I think obviously it makes so much sense for this to be happening during the year of the hermit and also during these times where these systems are really showing who they are, who they've always been in many
mhm,
ways.
mhm. Can I just say, like, I love that I saw you post about your leaving Instagram and these platforms, and I need to just fully make that shift. For me, it's like when the a leaf is like needs to be cut from the tree because it's like brown and frayed and just like it's like dead already. Um, and I just am so inspired by that because I mean, likewise, I pour my energy elsewhere. You know what I mean? Like I definitely center and seek to cultivate space elsewhere, and like you're saying, the different scale that arises within, and then also um the emergence of this podcast and just like the that I mean, I was listening to you last year on the podcast, and the sense of again scale, like the longevity of the work, like the different sense of training and the impact and legacy of creating work that can endure, which I think of course like needs to be on platforms that we own and that we cultivate because they can pull the plug on any day and you don't own what's your the content that you're producing there, but you're also being driven by capitalism, by market logic. Do you know what I mean? In order to
Yeah.
shape your voice in a particular way or in order to get certain engagement. And then how does that affect the integrity of what you want to produce as an artist when you're also like we are so inundated with being instantly validated, by likes and views and all of these things. And so that's powerful.
Yeah, and I just really want to name that I have so much compassion for anyone navigating this because I know that how challenging it is
Mm,
to build something on a platform that all of a sudden doesn't feel safe and to also not be sure what it looks like to step away. And also, you named so beautifully how we have all been shaped to really be needing those like dopamine rushes, right? And that is something that we have to like, it's almost like a big, I see it like a big chasm to like jump past to be able to then like trust into the seedlings that you put into the earth, knowing that there is like a different scale that goes beyond the like quick 24-hour post cycle, right? That there is like
Hmm.
another way of bringing people together that is like more intentional, maybe takes some more time. And I really want to just emphasize that I'm really critical of the systems. I'm not critical of how people use these social media platforms because I know that we all have to navigate what it means
Hmm.
to be in relationship with these places. And but I
Hmm.
really do feel like the onus has to be on these systems for shaping people in a certain way and also using these tactics that you're naming that are
Hmm.
not really in alignment with a lot of our values.
Hmm. I'm like, thank you. I so hearing that also, I've been thinking, like, I read from the Seven of Wands, but the Seven of Pentacles as well, which is Taurus, which is, this farm worker, this land worker, this like person who works the earth and is head is over their hoe or their tool or what have you, and they're just like looking at the thing growing, looking at how much is there, in this contemplative space. And again, that notion, like, I think that is a card rolled by Saturn, and we're leaving the Six of Pentacles, which is rolled by the moon. And for me, the moon is like the flowers that bloom each season, and there's just such a different pace. But like the Seven of Wands vision and scale is like, how do I get a harvest that feeds a whole community for generations to come? And they're not walking away from the work either. Like I think it's something like they're not just like uprooting everything. They're able to like sit with the sense of like this hasn't come into bloom yet. Like I don't have the avocados I need for my guacamole yet,
Right.
but it's growing. You know what I mean? And like let me take as long as it needs for the art to find its audience or for the vision to come into place, for the discography to develop, for the range to be developed. And I just think there's so much wisdom in that card, and I always think of that card as like a porch people kind of card, you know, myself.
Rich people. But we have been led to believe that we have to have social media or we will perish, and
Yeah.
that's very real. I know that like publishing companies, filmmakers, record labels are going and seeing how many followers you have before they're making a deal with you, which obviously, I'm a woman of a certain age and I remember when things didn't operate that way at all. So I'm
Yeah.
wondering like if both of you could talk about like if is there a meeting place between like bravery, especially for people who exist in marginalized communities, bravery, safety, prosperity. How do we find an intersecting point between especially bravery and safety?
Mm, mm, mm,
I think it's something that, we don't have to feel rushed in finding it. It's something that we can start to cultivate and make small steps to develop. I think that there can be maybe a feeling, especially because, I know for myself, when I first started learning about like the different changes that were happening on Instagram or the ways that certain communities or friends of mine have been like either shadow banned or,
mm,
thrown off the platform and lost all their work. Like, I think
mm,
there was a I have to make a decision really quickly. And at the same time, as you're naming, Chris, there's like different like time frames that we could work within. And I think it's really important to name that you can be really intentional. You could take small steps. You could always return. And I feel like there are ways that we can iterate or try things out, experiment, and not feel like you have to just like all of a sudden make a really big decision that's gonna like destabilize all your life, right? That you could make a small choice and see what happens from that small choice and slowly start to build that capacity or that
Mhm.
resiliency to be able to then make larger choices. And I think that's also one of the things that I've been really sitting with in my time away from social media is that especially, and this is something I wanted to bring into this conversation, is I feel like with divination works in many different timelines, and I do feel like we need space for divination to like emerge, like whether it's like stories or visions or sensations, they come in moments of like quiet, of contemplation, of boredom, of repetitive
Mhm.
motions. And these are things that I feel like um, can be really hard to do when you're like constantly feeling like you have to go grab your phone or constantly feeling like you have to go check your email. And I'm saying this as someone that really loves the space of divination and has really noticed how my like sense of self has been like co-opted by these like machines, and like little by little I'm like finding less of those moments and really wanting more of this space to exist with different timelines. And so I feel like knowing that time can expand, it can collapse, and that we could take little moments to make big decisions or make small decisions. Like there's so much possibility within time. And I do feel like that's one of the benefits of stepping away is that you get to rekindle that relationship with time in a very different fashion. And so just want to invite that for people. If you're feeling like, oh, I could never get off social media because I would perish, which I totally know that feeling.
Mhm.
Just see what it would be like to have it off for a day or for a few hours or to make a little small decision. Because I don't want it to feel like it's either all or nothing. Because I'm still on there. I still post sometimes. So it's not,
Mhm.
I'm also in that place where I'm trying to renegotiate that relationship.
Mhm. Oh, it's so I'm just so drawn into listening to you speak, and I'm so glad you have a podcast, Edgar, because I just need to like go in deep dive. I yeah, I agree. I think that there's also having multiple containers and existing, like, let me start it on my blog, on my website or something, you know what I mean? And like have that going concurrently. Or, I mean, I think we all do, but like building a newsletter, where that's like your audience, like like at least I know it goes to everyone who subscribes, like when I make a post there. Whereas like you can follow me on Instagram and never see me again, which is probably the case. Um, I the bravery piece is interesting because for me that is so much like about embodiment. Again, very Seven of Wands, like that. It's so when you're visibly queer or transgressive, it's taking me like I was hiding, like I couldn't handle that at such an early age. You know what I mean? Against everyone else. So it's like I was read queer before I had any awareness. Like it was just me. Like, you know what I mean? I was just being me.
Mhm.
And everyone was like, "What are you doing?" You know what I mean? Like, how dare you? And that was so threatening. And so it did take inner fortitude. It did take somewhat of like it's like you're saying, boundary and capacity work, protection, which I think boundaries are about, right? Like just to have that inner fortification to be inspired and develop my language and my words, my ability to like why are you so obsessed with me? Like to have clapbacks or to have like something to counter, you know what I mean, in these ways that people try and police us with all these various bullshits to just keep us silent and complacent and docile and conforming. And I find that like the more brave I become in being authentic. Like I feel authenticity is a part of it. It emboldens my sense of bravery, and that actually makes me feel more safe. And it can look in certain ways. Like I try and push the line with my writing, as I just kind of named about being provoking. Like not to like provoke for just the sake of it, but like the sense of I want to shed some blood in my pages. Like I want there to be like that is where I'm like, wow, I put a lot in that, or like I revealed a lot in that, and that is just tantalizing and exciting to me in like saying something that I know other people would have a hard time articulating for themselves or whatnot. It's very freeing to me, and but on the other end, it's like I don't share. I've never been one to share on social media like my life or like my day or like
Your
selfie or
breakfast.
yeah, things like that. Like I just don't have that like that just doesn't go through my mind like that. You know what I mean? And I'm also very private in that way, like where I just don't like it just that makes me feel more unsafe. So, but it doesn't feel authentic either, you know? Because I do love seeing what people eat as well, you know? Like
Just because
bookmark, I'll go there.
we don't do it doesn't mean that you can't. Just like Edgar
Right.
was saying, you no
Yes.
judgment.
Right.
But how do you? And this question goes to both of you. You use the phrase, Christopher, inner fortitude, and I want to know how how our listeners, what advice do you both have for cultivating that inner fortitude? I mean, we talk a lot about how gentle does not mean weak. And I think that both of you are so exemplary of that idea. There's such a strength, but also such a gentleness to both of you. So how do I and how do you cultivate that inner fortitude?
Mm, 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 mm. The first thing that's coming to mind for me is forgiveness.
Ooh.
Is really forgiveness for the mistakes that we've made in the past, for the shame that has been passed down to us. Fortitude, of course, we can think of as like a spine or a column or this thing that allows you to not crumble, right? And of course, shame and mistakes and self-loathing, this punishing voice, this like carceral mindset, has us crumble. Where I also think like that having that spine, like I thank my chiropractor because he just increased my spine mobility, my spine health so much that it's like having a strong spine means having a flexible spine, means being able to attend to where there's a like where it's stuck, you know, and how to set it back in place and not be punishing. And so I think on the other side of that is like just really a lot of forgiveness for no like giving yourself an understanding that progress is progress and that we're not going for perfection or you don't have to be, you know, this paragon of virtue 24/7, but that you are human and that you are flawed and that you have been hurt and that you're healing and that you have capacity for change and transformation. And that's always going to be a learning curve and that like the mistakes can be evidentiary of your commitment to progress and having, I think, just like a paradigm shift around when you make a mistake or you're like, damn it, in whatever way, I'm not in the two addicts as well, but like people recovering, but like I relapsed in this thing, or I did the thing I know I shouldn't have done, or I don't want to do, or you know what I mean? But it's like, okay, that's just like hold that, but without being punishing, you know what I mean? Hold that with an accountability and an integrity to just improve a little bit more the next time. And um, again, I think that type of like self-acceptance, you know, without shame, um, without carcerality, gives you so much greater capacity and resiliency.
My father was not a particularly gentle man, but I remember one time as an adult, I went to him and I said, Dad, I made a big mistake. I don't even remember what the mistake was. And keep that in mind too, listeners. Like it's years later and I don't even remember what that huge life shattering mistake that I had made was. But he said to me, "Oh, you made a mistake. So you're human?" And my father has passed now, but that voice comes to me again and again and again and again. And Edgar, like your work is alien and divine, but so human. There's so much humanity in your work. How do you cultivate your inner fortitude?
Yeah, and I was really struck by what you were sharing, Christopher, of like feeling like just by existing, people come up to you and say, "How dare you?" You know, like, and I think, you bringing up the spine, I can really I really feel like my relationship to my ancestors, and when I say ancestors, I mean both like my Virarica ancestors as well as my queer and trans ancestors, as well as like the visionary, artistic, weirdo lines that I'm a part of. And I feel like a big part of my own healing, and I do feel like forgiveness is really in this too, is really healing this part of me that felt that because I was different, I didn't belong. And really feeling like because I'm different, I do belong. And knowing that there are so many of us that are weirdos, we're highly sensitive, we don't fit in, we might be like transgressive in many different ways. And knowing that there is like a community of us that has found each other, that we've been brought to each other. And I do feel, the webs, both like the digital as well as the etheric and the energetic, like finding ways to like have us all like come back together and really feeling that like that inner fortitude comes from knowing that I'm not alone, that even if I am the one like weird gender expansive person that like might be in a room, I'm not walking into that space by myself. And I really do feel that in my spine, because I feel like that spine is such a deep connection to the earth and to the ancestors. And I just want to say that to anyone out there who does feel like they're audacious just for existing. Like, you are not alone. You're a part of a huge community, and you might not see them in your physical realm, but they are there in this spiritual, energetic realm. And you will also find us in the physical realm. If you know how to look for us, or if you ask for us to come, we will come.
Mm,
I'll add something to that. I just love
please.
hearing you say that. I drew a card yesterday and it was Holy Grandmother of the Weave, and it's this beautiful big spider, on the card. And again, just kind of going back, like adding again divination to that sense, which I hear again in the spiritual realm and the etheric realm, like me having divination has fortified me so much, like cultivating that practice, having a daily pull practice has allowed me to feel not alone at times when my life was falling apart, at times when I was so lost, like to really like the communication aspect of divination, like in the meaning of the word, like to commune with the divine, has helped me immensely feel like there's a being who has a greater perspective, or who knows that there's redemption from all the pain and suffering that I've experienced and that we've all experienced and we experience. That it's not for nothing, or that can be used to facilitate the increase of light and of healing. Like that there's a genius operating beyond my own existence, but that I can commune with every morning. So I just wanted to say that. Yeah.
Uh,
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that.
Communing with the divine is something that I think all witches are at very least interested in pursuing as a goal, whether or not we feel like we've reached that. But I definitely, once again, like both of you have such a divinity that just like radiates out of you, that it's wonderful to think that, a little human like me might be able to reach that space too. Christopher, I've asked you this before, so I'm going to start with Edgar. Edgar, if you could, if it feels comfortable for you to close your eyes and imagine what a re-indigenized world would look like. Can you describe a re-indigenized world from the divinity of your imagination?
Mm. Yeah, the first thing I saw was like everyone throwing away their clocks.
Mm. Let's say it again. We don't have to rush. That's a capitalist lie. We don't have to rush. So we've thrown away
Yeah.
our clocks.
We've thrown away our clocks. There's no such thing as alarms anymore. And we are living in a way where we know the people that live around us. We have built sustainable relationships where we show up for each other, where we understand the needs of those who are in our circles, and we understand how we can both ask for help as well as show up and offer ourselves to be of service to the community, to our circles, to our webs, and also We are not organized around money. We are not
Mm.
organized around the greed of a few psychopathic cis straight white men who control what it means to be a human. We are organized around our relationships, both in this realm as well as in the other realms that are important to our communities. And we are guided by the cycles of the moon and the cycles of nature, and we're guided by the voices of the many. We are in relationship with all that is around us, and we have brought back those reciprocal agreements that are so important. That is what we are organized around.
Edgar, your voice is just like a deep breath. It's just listening to you speak is, I know I started this by saying that I was like an anxious mess, and I've just felt that melting away being in space with both of you. Christopher, last time we spoke, I asked you about what a re-indigenized world would look like, and you used the term murmuration, which is one of my favorite words, first of all, because it's so fun to say
Love.
murmuration, but also like one of my favorite phenomena to see this happening in the animal kingdom. So no need to focus on murmuration. If I would love if something else comes to you, or if you want to talk about murmuration again, what does a re-indigenized world look like when you close your eyes and use your divine imagination?
I mean, I'm so drawn into again Edgar's poetic channeling and vision and feel with that like you speakers and music and everyone making music and making art and all of that being so just and like with the trees singing and the birds singing and the animals coming and adding to the instrumentation of it all again like and then the murmuration starts again in response to the sound waves and everyone just making love and like you know what I mean and like twerking and like eating well and everyone being fed and we have figured out how to clean our oceans and to clean our air and how to let spaces rest, like how to let patches of the earth rest while we're also like working the land elsewhere out in other parts and just especially the ocean I've been really just thinking a lot about and like tidal ectics and just cleaning and repairing all of the aquatic kin that we have in the ocean. I feel is it's just a part of it. Clean water is not being commodified, and everyone has enough to drink.
I mean, we won't go off on another tangent because we don't have time, but I do just want to like use my imagination to slip into the ocean and the mysteries. The mysteries. Edgar, your work is on the moon, but hopefully someday it'll also be at the bottom of the Marianas Trench and examining those mysteries held there. Again, I know you both have divinity to embody elsewhere today. So, listeners, this is part of a fundraiser. And I want to ask you both if there's a specific organization that you would love for our listeners to support if they feel so inspired.
Yeah, I can start. I would love to just plug Bates in the Bay Area. They are an organization that works with Two-Spirit, Indigenous queer folks, and brings people together in different ways through like art practice, through creating powwows, celebrations. Like they're definitely an incredible organization that I received a lot of healing from, and has also connected me with a lot of folks that I've been able to like collaborate with, commune with, and so they're definitely like an organization that's doing important cultural work and also doing work to keep the flames of our cultures alive. And so just really want to plug in Bates, the Bay Area Indigenous Two-Spirit organization in the Bay Area.
Hmm.
I just heard about this organization the other day because someone emailed me to ask if that would be an appropriate place to send their donation reparation. And just all caps, like, absolutely. I clicked on the link and I was like, oh my goodness, this is exactly the place that you should send your money. Bates, again, listeners, that link will be in the show notes. Christopher.
Mm-hmm. I would, yes, the Coalition to Stop Violence Against Native Women. They're based in Albuquerque. But just any local org that works against like missing and murdered Indigenous people, or it's like you'll often get that acronym MMIP or MMIW, Indigenous Women. It's developed, I think, to IP now, but you can donate there. The there's like 5K runs that are organized here, but they're not as like set up for the funneling into getting donations and stuff like that is not as set up. Like it's pretty like internally organized. So again, like the Coalition to Stop Violence Against Native Women, you can definitely donate. Obviously, that is just something near and dear to my heart. Any work and supporting for women in Native women and children and breaking cycles of violence, of course.
Yes. Thank you. And again, listeners, like, we would love it if you would go out into your community and find something local to you. We've had so many people tell us that I didn't know this existed until I went looking. And, that's the case with so many, like, I didn't know that you, Edgar, or you, Christopher, existed until I went looking for you. And when I found you, it was life altering. And that can be the same if you just go out into your community and look around. Like, you'll be amazed at what you find. Once again, make a donation of $10 or more to your local Native women's shelter or Indigenous support org. Bates, Coalition to Stop Violence Against Native Women are great places to start. Or donate to the Native Women's Shelter of Montreal. Take a screenshot of your receipt and email it to missingwitches.com with the subject line reparation, and you'll be entered to win one of more than 20 fabulous prizes. Like, thousands of dollars worth of prizes are up for grabs. So we're doing these acts of reparations because we recognize that we have benefited from an extractive relationship with Indigenous people and culture and land. So that should be enough. But hey, if you could win a prize en plus, then, and again, the discount codes, it's likely that if you shop at House Witch or if you want a piece from Michelle Pajak Reynolds, that those discounts will pay for your donation. And so we're just in this watery realm of mutual aid and feeling the tide wash over us and back and over us and back and over us and back. I want to thank you both so much, and no pressure, Edgar, but I do hope to hear Christopher on your podcast in the coming months.
That would be a huge blessing. Yes, I would love that.
And again, Edgar, what's the best way for our listeners to support you and your work, assuming they've already made their reparation donation? Now they're moving on to supporting you specifically.
Yeah. I just want to invite you to sign up for my newsletter. And you could also check out my podcast. And both of those are at yourartisaspell.com. And I also just want to say that my podcast is on YouTube. And so if you are a YouTube person, want to invite you to subscribe to my channel and give a few views and a few likes to support the work that I'm doing. And I really wanted to say thank you for organizing this and for bringing people together in honor and support of our Indigenous communities. This is such important work, and just really want to highlight you, Amy, and Missing Witches, as well as all the wonderful folks who've come together to make this possible. Like, thank you for the work you're doing. And I love the way you're saying it is like I saw it as a river just flowing of abundance, and so many people are being fed from the waters of this river. And just want to thank all the people contributing their water and their energy to the flow.
We're witches, right? Like, isn't that what it's all about? To me, anyway, that's what it's all about. And so if we at Missing Witches can sort of bring that to the forefront of people's consciousness as they're going about their day, then that's what I want to do. Christopher, how can our listeners support you and your work? Again, the book is Red Tarot from North Atlantic Books. We'll start there.
Thank you for starting there. I almost forgot about that.
I'm a PR agent. People are always like not mentioning their books, and I'm like,
oh yeah, my book. I'm so like, I just have to say, like, again, yet likewise with Edgar, like, thank you for doing this work and for this invitation for your writing and your community work. It's like, if y'all, I'm sure listening feel is just like warmed and shined upon and like embraced and nourished, as I personally feel in this moment, then imagine how amazing you're going to feel from all of the amazing collaborators and contributors pouring into this space, and that you're also supporting Indigenous futures and the work of reparations. It's profound. And so it's just, again, such an honor to have an invitation and to share space. And if y'all like to work with me more, stay connected, my Substack is my newsletter, the redread.substack, and it's red, the color RED, and then READ, and likewise the redread.com. My book, Red Tarot, I offer consultations and I teach classes. I'm always teaching. And so you can find me perhaps somewhere near you. I was in Canada earlier this year. I'll be in LA for the LA Festival of Tarot at the end of this month. And
that's so exciting.
On a panel with Mary Kay Greer. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So huge.
I've never been so sad to be an East Coaster.
I may be on the East Coast at the end of the year as well. So stay tuned. You know what I mean? Because I will share where I will all pop up and invite me.
Please reach out when you come to LA, because I'm here. So I'd love to connect with you.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. I would love that so much. And so it's just, all the things. It's an honor and it's a joy, and I'm happy to be in circle together with y'all.
It's amazing how, my whole nervous system has completely flipped from an anxious mess to I have totally become one with the universe after this conversation. And I just want to thank you both so much, obviously, for taking the time to sit down with me today, but also for just being brave and putting your work out into the world, even though it means that you might get attention that we don't want. You're doing it anyway, and you are making the world a more magical place every moment. I'm filled. And I know you both have places to go and be amazing. So I'm going to let you go forth and be amazing for today. But thank you again so much. I love you both so much. Someday we will be together in person. Hopefully I'll make it to the West Coast at some point.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, everyone join the reparations fundraiser. Find everything you need to know at missingwitches.com/reparations-fundraiser-2025 or just go to missingwitches.com and you'll see it in the banner. And blessed fucking be.
You must be a witch.